If you were lucky enough to have lived throughout the 90s, you may remember the good old console wars. Nintendo with their Mode 7, Sega with their blast processing. Sega owners, dream on, but Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Both companies were always trying to outdo each other to gain the trust of the consumers to buy their products. Although advertising was a lot friendlier where I'm from. You could only get Mario on the Super Nintendo, and Sonic was exclusive for the Genesis, also known as the Mega Drive where I am from. Travel towards the present, people have come to wonder that maybe the two systems aren't that different after all. I mean, we've seen attempts of Sonic crossing its way over to the red side for both the 8-bit and 16-bit era, and do they work? Click the relevant links in the description to find out. I could really do with your views. Nonetheless, the question remains on this channel. Can Mario handle the raw power that Sega was boasting about all these years? Well, lucky for you, I've discovered a fair amount of Mario bootlegs that were all built for this very test. 2 being ports, others being homebrews, and some... Why am I doing this again? But don't be fooled, everything you've seen so far was recorded on the Kega emulator. When real hardware gets a say, that's when these games suddenly start to sweat. And oh boy, do they have a reason to panic. This might be the most interesting hardware video I've made to date, because these ROMs threw me on a roller coaster of emotions while examining. These ratings weren't easy to make, and I'm telling you now, the Mega Drive showed no mercy. So much so that I had to make a new rating. The main driver throughout this video will be my Genesis Model 1 because it gives the cleanest picture out of my collection. I'm not going to pretend that I'm a fanatic about this franchise, but I did do my research before playing the games. Like I know this is Mario, Luigi, Toad, Daisy, Croc, Dr. Wily, and the Hammercrats are about to get a taste of their own medicine! That's right, we're starting with the game that began Mario's career, where I died again, and 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 again. Finally! These sadistic plonkers can go do one, but surely an 8-bit game will work splendidly on the next generation machine, right? Spoiler alert! Kinda. Right off the bat, the game feels fantastic to play. While I'm not the best guy to confirm this, the physics feels spot on. The maps are a 1-to-1, and even the Mega Drive boots in 256 horizontal mode for a more accurate representation. So, what's the issue? Well, looking past that the music is using the FM synthesizer instead of being a direct transfer, thanks to these hyperactive gits, I found out that holding A and pressing start on a title screen does nothing. However, holding A and then soft resetting grants you the ability to select a world. Oh, well that's not a problem. Let's just press the reset button down here, and we, oh. Blue screen of death? Perform a warm boot at any point, and a demonstration gets emptied. You can still play the game blindly, and you can hear the action. Nonetheless, the display won't resurface until a stage refreshes, whether you die, complete a level, etc. So, when you soft reset, just wait for the demo to end so you can see it again, then press B to choose your world and go from there. Truthfully, this hiccup wasn't enough to sway my verdict, until I discovered that when I put the game on any X-Series cart or older from Crix, the level art is now gone entirely, including when you restart a stage. It'll never materialise. If you go back into the EverDrive menu, then press start to preload the game right away, then clarity is back. Amazingly, enter any folder or sub-menu, then preload the game, and the graphics have dissolved again. To find out if the EverDrive menus were making the results biased, I flashed the game on the Flash Kit cart and the Dragon Drive, pure ROM only. And oh dear goodness, it's even worse. Everything has been shifted and the HUD scrolls along with the game. Confused yet? Here's more. Put the Flash Kit in any console with TMSS and then it operates nicely. Does Super Mario Bros. Work on real hardware? Too many variables bring this game down to its knees. Partially. I was gobsmacked by that outcome, but how about the 16-bit version of the game? Next is Super Mario 2. Time for good old Google Translate. Vehicle auxiliary memory access failed. Nope, still doesn't work. No matter which model, add-on or cart I used, it wouldn't load. And that left me to believe that I had a bad dump. As in the ROM was corrupted, get your mind out of the gutter. After searching on the net, I found a large amount of the same ROM. Some verified they were good, some admitted they were bad, and then 2 specified they were fixed. I downloaded them all, and the good still gives me the Chinese text, the bad simply does naught, and the fixed actually starts. When I got the hex editor out to compare the good and the fixed, the header had changed most 2s to 3s, but it's at this location where I am sure the solution is applied. I'll explain why a patch is mandatory in a moment, but let's probe the fixed ROM. What? But I'm technically on top of him! Holy sh**! Oh, what the hell? What?
And it did it again.
What the What? Mario is hyperactive, screen tearing is constant, but worst of all, the collision has a mind of its own. And Headless Nick over here never despawns and can cause a reboot or even a crash. You have to knock him out first before ending the level. But after almost 4 hours, I eventually ended up finalising the game and saw Peach continuously punch Mario in the nuts. At least he got a kiss. So it appears to function, but here's the conundrum. The ROM technically had to be fixed for it to boot. And as we said on this channel before, tampering is forbidden. I don't know what that was. For example, if a game didn't obey, if we can just change this byte over here, well then this series of videos falls flat on its face. But here, this is an exceptional circumstance. It's to be believed that this has copyright protection, which only the original cartridge has. Rip the ROM, it won't initiate. So it's not that it doesn't comply, it's that it chooses not to comply. Oh, and Sonic Jam 6, which is the same game but has Mario replaced with yours truly, has the same copyright feature and mimics its opponent. Which leads me to this. Does Super Mario Bros. 2 and Sonic Jam 6 work on real hardware? As long as you've disabled the copyright protection, yes. Despite being numbered as the second adventure, it was clearly the first Mario installment. Well, hopefully the next one isn't fibbing about its title. Super Mario World. That's twice you ripped me off! So, no, this isn't a port of the SNES version. By fascination, it's a hack of another game called Squirrel King, and that's a homebrew in itself, loosely based on Chip and Dale. But I digress. Even though it features the Nintendo mascot, it didn't feel very Mario-y. You don't collect coins, instead you collect iced blocks? I don't know. You don't bounce on the enemy's noggins, you have to throw boxes or a limited amount of fireballs at them. You can't break any bricks, you just jump through them. No sliding down warp pipes, but you can pretend to be Solid Snake if you like. This game kind of goes against everything that Mario stands for. Even the protagonist's sprites are incomplete. He's forgotten how to stand like a human, he sits like a cat, and when he dies, he's like,
okie dokie, off to hell I go.
And regardless of all that, I actually had fun on this game. After defeating the final boss, you get shown the completely wrong cast. Unless he really is a candle, and he's a total dictionaries are needed for the credits, because I cannot be bothered to load Google Translate again. Does Super Mario World work on real hardware? Yes. Wow, a game with no hardware limitations. I wonder if the next one will be just as easy. Mario 3, Bok Prior Sebeta? Before I make a lot of people angry, it actually says Mario 3 around the world. And I didn't even need to use Google Translate for that. I just wrote Alien for free. If you want to know the story, here you go. And this game is... The controls aren't anywhere near as bad as the other bootlegs, but it's not much of an improvement. The further you progress, the less official it becomes. The splash screens in between each stage have been sacrificed to the gods, and bar one tune, all the tracks are stolen from other games. Although they fully slapped! Frankly, I would love to tell you that this isn't the worst experience I've had testing the game in the series. It's the most confusing. See if you can keep up with this. Whenever Mario smashes the block from underneath, goes down the warp pipe, or falls to the bottom of the screen, the game will lock up. This implies it's impossible to complete this title because you can't jump this gap and you're forced to slide down into the sewers, which of course crashes it. I've tried every cart I have in my arsenal and several attachment combinations, yet the same rules apply. But oddly enough, when I got my Japanese Model 2 out, I was shocked to see the game continues to run. The music soils itself every single time and only cleans itself up after a level reset. Oh, well there you have it. It breaks on any release of the first Mega Drive or Genesis, yet it's efficient on the successor. And I got that established with my Genesis 2. What? How about my PAL Model 2? Wait, is this a region thing? I then triple checked with my Japanese Model 1 with no attachments and... What the heck is going on? The only thing I can think of is that it's a revision board related problem. And luck had it, my friend Sunky Deputus had 3 Model 2s all from each region. Let's get this confirmed. Right, so get that mushroom.
Alright.
Now, you see the breakable block, the brick block? Break it.
This one?
Yep. You can move. Okay. Fall down the pit. That's your Genesis 2?
Yeah, that's the same. That's the one that can't run Sonic 2 Recreation for some reason.
What the f? This should be crashing! What the hell?
Alright, getting the mushroom.
Okay,
It works.
Oh my god!
Let me now to kill myself.
Oh, to kill yourself. So it works for you on PAL as well. If this crashes, I am gonna be absolutely what the f.
Alright. It froze.
I kid you not. After experimenting myself, Sunky's outcome was the absolute opposite. This has to be a revision board issue. I'm no expert when it comes to the technical side, but I can't help but think that it's only compliant with the latest circuitry. So in theory... Okay, if this crashes, I'm gonna hit the roof. What? What? So it's not a revision issue. I thought, what the f is happening? I'm bewildered. I have no idea what's going on. Not just Sunky, but I would also like to give Calamity James a huge thanks for testing this out on his beautiful amount of machines, which regrettably all dismissed the bootleg from operating. And then Overlord stepped up with his collection, and sadly, they all quit on us too. Alright, so I was able to finish the game on my Japanese Model 2 with horrendous music glitching in my ears. Then from nowhere, some hope arrived. After this translation by Ali, I found the submenu to tinker with the sound settings. If you switch the digit on this option, for incompatible consoles, it replaces the soundtrack, and now I can break blocks with no distortion. Yet it still blanks when falling into a pit or sliding down a tube. And this goes for any mixture you try. And for the consoles that semi-cooperate, Sound Driver 2 eradicates the music. What? However, if you turn sounds off but leave the rest unchanged, then the music no longer glitches when obliterating a brick, and your time on the game finally sounds reasonable. And ironically, the sound effects still play despite deactivating them. And with Sunky's approval, this is enough to make the orange ticks go green. But even then, look at this table. There's no formula for this to function, and the PAL Model 2 proves you're at the mercy of a roll of a dice. Mathematically, there's only a 12% chance that it won't fail, and even then, strict conditions apply. And I'm left with no choice. Does Mario 3 Around the World work on real hardware? No. That was a nightmare. Let's pray that the next game... Oh, you're having a giraffe. I'm not doing it. Okay, movie voiceover man, do your stuff.
From the creator who brought you Mario 3 comes Mario 4 Space Odyssey, starring the same art style, same physics, identical music, similar cutscene placements, the world burning from the film Knowing, grimmer splash screen. Oh my word! I'm just going to say no to that. Ah!
This is just a clone of Mario 3, but with different levels, except when you end the game, it just rolls back to the beginning. What a waste of time. See, I know the question you want me to answer. Do the results echo here? Be amazed as I show you that this hasn't changed a bit. Sadly, all technical difficulties carry over as well. The procedure for the sound options also applies here to transform those partials into positives, but it's not enough. Does Mario 4 Space Odyssey work on real hardware? Niet. What a train wreck so far. Can Super Mario World 64 lift our spirits up, please? And I've kind of already spoiled it with this warning, haven't I? I hope you guys are liking this video and subscribing because... To be fair, my Sony BVM proves it's just a static blue screen. The dilemma? This also adds copyright protection, which you already know how that works by now. And this doesn't look at all terrible. The gameplay engine should feel comfortable for the average Mario player out there. Nice bright colours, great graphics, the songs are blissful. You would think I had a wonderful time with this game, right? Wrong. I'm sorry, but it's just too hard. Call it a skill issue if you want, but it requires too many perfect maneuvers, an absurd amount of obstacles to dodge, with a lot of guessing on where to jump, and it eventually got to a point where I'm pretty sure it was preposterous to pass. And I've been told from other sources that even when using save states, it's crazy difficult to complete. However, all of my experience during this adventure worked flawlessly, yet I am unable to determine if the game would stray away from that idea or not as you progress. Normally when I don't consume an entire game, I would just base my findings on what I managed to practice. Not this time. I didn't get far enough to support my verification. So here's a new rating. Does Super Mario 64 work on real hardware? Potentially. You could point out that Mario was too strong for the Sega group to handle, or you could argue that Mario was too weak to take advantage of the blast processing. Voice your opinion in the comments, which other way it's viewed. I think we can agree that Mario works best for its home consoles. But what about Mario ROM hacks on the SNES? Well, that's for a future episode.